Hi, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Thursdays at 2-ish.
That's right, 2-ish.
2 o'clock
Thanks.
somewhere.
That's right. Thanks for showing up, everybody. We got a whole nother week's worth of Culty news and SPTV Roundup to cover.
We do. If you are joining us for the first time, my name is Cassie Marie. I am a former cult hopper turned artist and content creator. I talk about all kinds of different cults.
Yes, you do. And I'm Liz Gale, a third-generation ex-Scientologist, and mostly talk about Scientology.
Yep.
Yep.
And we're going to just go through some SPTV highlights of this week. It's been kind of a busy news week, I feel like. I feel like
It
there's
is,
a lot
yes.
going on.
It has been so hard to keep up with all of the not just Scientology happenings, but other kind of culty news. And then SPTV has just, there aren't enough hours in the day.
There really aren't. And that's why we're here to wrap it up for you. In case you missed something, you can go back and watch it.
That's right.
So I'll add in our slides and we can get started with the wrap up. So I'm pretty sure this happened after our last Thursdays at 2, but Ashton Kutcher resigned from Thorne. Resigned.
Oh, I know someone's feeling the heat. I do think
Yeah.
it was the responsible decision to do, though, because how could he have gone forward on the board of Thorne? He couldn't have.
Right. Yep, and A.A. Ron, growing up in Scientology, he did a video about it. I think there were a couple SPTV channels that did videos about it that I'm sure you can catch. And we're kind of also speculating on, did he resign, or was he asked to resign or required to resign? But his resignation letter was interesting. Aaron goes through all of it, and he still did not do the one thing that might like save him from all of this even a little, which is like address Danny Masterson's victims directly and apologize for what he did and the harm he caused. But nope, that was not the case.
That wasn't in the cards. A further video that Aaron did on it actually said he explained why Ashton Kutcher hates the victims.
Yes.
And he talked about a lot of lost revenue because of the 70s show not being picked up for some sort of syndication or new contract that apparently was supposed to net them $20 million each.
Yeah.
I don't know how pissed off you'd be if somebody got between you and $20 million, but he should be pissed off at his friend Danny.
Yeah, he really should. And that video was interesting too, because he talked about like a Disney executive and some of the executives at the ranch, and that they didn't believe the Jane Does, and it was kind of like going around that community. It was a whole thing. So definitely check out Growing Up in Scientology's videos on Ashton Kutcher.
Absolutely.
This week. Okay, so next, Aaron did a video because Doug Doring, or Doring, I don't know how to say it. I feel like I say it really weird and other people don't pronounce it that way. Jason Doring's dad, the owner of ABC Mouse, sadly passed away this past week of cancer, but he was a huge Scientology donor, what they call a whale, that gave millions and millions to Scientology from the money that he's made through ABC Mouse. And Aaron talked more about like the high rates of cancer among OT8 Scientologists as like a thing that he thinks should be like looked into. I thought that was interesting.
As a child of OT8 Scientologists, it's very concerning. Yeah. I suspect though that it's there's more of a correlation than causation, if that makes sense. But fascinating. So he was already ill. Everyone knew he was ill. Is that correct?
Yeah, he had been sick for a while, I think. but I don't know if they knew. I had read that he had passed peacefully and his family was there, so they did have some notice. It wasn't like a sudden thing.
Right.
But from a Scientology
Sad.
perspective, aren't you supposed to have, like,
Yeah.
power over.
Matter, energy, space, and time, otherwise
Right.
known as MEST, correct. There
Yeah.
are a few caveats for having a meat body where they understand
Mhm.
that, like, you will age and potentially get sick. Um, what I think the discussion, could also look at is lifestyle decisions, because when you have a leader who smoked cigarettes, for example, um, a lot of Scientologists smoke cigarettes as well, and there is a causation from actually cigarettes. I'm not
Right.
saying I know anything about the Doring family and their lifestyle, but I know that I've seen that personally.
Yeah. Okay, what else? Oh, okay. So Aaron and Vanessa from Degraded Daughters of Dianetics, did a live together talking about SPTV and what that means to them. I thought this was very appropriate to include in the SPTV roundup. Just talking about how it's not, I guess there's been some like misconceptions or confusion around like who's allowed to be in SPTV or what it is, and they just had a really like nice, kind, candid conversation that like Aaron's goal is just to have as many people making David Miscavige's life worse as possible. And there's no rules, and anyone can be an SPTV ex-Scientologist that want to share their story on their own terms. And that I from my takeaway from it was that was Vanessa's take on it as well, is that like this is just a great community and a place where you can share your story on your own terms. So I highly recommend that everybody go watch that if you're curious about SPTV and where the heck this all came from.
That's right, and I was really proud to kinda hear what they were saying, because, um there has been a little confusion about the role of the Aftermath Foundation.
Yeah.
Which is a nonprofit organization that you can go look at their own mission statement on their own website. I believe it to be helping people who are actively leaving Scientology, particularly the Sea Org. Then that
Mhm.
happens to also correlate with the name of the Aftermath show, which also
Mhm.
has no actual ties to the Aftermath Foundation. Then you have
Right.
SPTV. And so there have been some fundraisers on SPTV for individuals that maybe some people thought were more Aftermath. And so I think there were like a lot of different aspects that they were trying to clear up. And I'm glad they
Yeah.
did.
Yep. Same. Same, same. And it was a good chat.
Yeah.
So this was super interesting. I was very excited to watch. Were you able to catch that Leah and Claire shared about their meeting with the LAPD chief more?
Only about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Please give me the details. Fill me
Oh
in.
my gosh. Okay, so you remember that like Leah was tweeting about it, right? Like there was like this whole thing going on where the LAPD was kind of like beefing with Leah and like Scientology with all the Danny Masterson stuff going on, and she was
Right.
like, "Let me meet with somebody then. Like I'll
Yeah.
meet with the chief." And then they kept telling her, like they kept denying it, like not answering her requests or calls. So she tweeted about it and got enough like public support and people calling that they were like, okay, fine, we'll give you a meeting. And she scheduled this meeting, and her and Claire were going to show up, and they wanted Mike to come too, but it just didn't work with his schedule. So Leah and Claire finally showed up to meet with Chief Moore, I believe is his name, with the LAPD. And they said it could not have gone worse. They said
Oh
it was
boy.
awful, like, so bad. He was so rude to them and, like,
Mm,
was trying to play mind games, and then,
mm.
like, went on a whole spiel about how, like, the LAPD does such great work and they're, just there for everyone and blah, 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 and basically just, like, didn't listen to any of their concerns or anything they had to say. Leah got real heated, and it just did not go well.
That's what I heard her talking about a little bit. I
Yeah.
popped in by the time she was heated and they were kinda going back and forth with the chief or the captain. How unfortunate. I mean, I guess I
Yeah.
understand, but it because Leah has made some pretty big and bold claims about the
Mhm.
LAPD, and I think they've responded to her not even directly, but, like, publicly with tweets and stuff in the past about
Mhm.
Shelley Miscavige and, now the Danny Masterson, um, fascinating. I
Yeah.
This sounds maybe very sexist, but I would wonder if they had some, if Mike had gone or some males had gone, if the chief's perception would have
Been a
changed and
little
treated
different.
them differently, which is unfortunate,
Yeah.
but I wonder.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Leah and Claire both, and Mike, were all like, we've met with law enforcement that has been great, that has
Yeah.
been kind and like listened to us. And this just was not that. Like, it was really rude. And like, Leah basically left in tears.
Oh,
And she said that she was shaking some people's hands as she was leaving. And she said one person like whispered to her and said, I believe you, like very
oh my
quietly. And she
goodness.
was like, "I just lost it. Like, I just couldn't." I wanted to cry listening to her say that. So, it
Ugh.
was sad. Like, it was really it kinda sucks that I don't know. Like, I'm sure there's a long, long history with Scientology and the LAPD, and that plays into
Mhm.
it, but, like, kindness goes a long way. So,
Yeah,
I just can't imagine why someone would purposely be unkind.
I agree, and just as a PR move, it's a really missed opportunity because had they gone in
Mhm.
and just acknowledged and said, "Yeah, we're gonna look into this," maybe we don't foresee we're gonna find anything, but we hear you. But,
Yeah,
I guess sometimes that's too much to ask for these days.
I guess so.
Sad but true.
And then speaking of fundraisers,
Uh-huh.
I wanted to put up this fundraiser for the Aftermath Foundation because Mike and Aaron and Claire and Mark and Amy and Matt all talked about Scientology's latest harassment and fair game and gave a bunch of updates. And they posted that video as an Aftermath Foundation fundraiser. And I guess for clarity's sake, if there are ever SPTV channels that do a fundraiser, it will say like the videos, like specifically will say Aftermath Foundation fundraiser on them. And that's how you can distinguish what's going on.
Exactly. And, it's up to the individual creators that you decide to, give super chats to or you decide, that you wanna support.
Right.
There is no oversight in
Right.
SPTV, so that's all on us, like,
Yep.
individually.
Yep. Okay, Apostate Alex. Last week was
I
an Apostate Alex love fest. We did
loved this. Oh
all
my
his
gosh, I
videos.
watched this. Did you watch it?
I watched like the first 15 minutes. This is the one that I didn't catch the whole thing. So you
It
take it
was
away.
it was really, really interesting and fascinating to me. This lawyer, I believe they're called solicitors over there, was just talking about the changes in defamation, and it was really, big for me because I have a
Mhm.
book out, right, that is out in the United States, and I'm waiting
Yeah.
on a little counsel to put it out in the UK because the the laws are different and I don't know what I don't know, right? So this guy knows. And he's been part of the Going Clear legal sign off as well as I
Mhm.
believe Leah Remini's book and Mike Rinder's book over in the UK. And it was fascinating because he went through some major changes that happened in the UK law in 1999. I'm not a legal counsel. I won't even try to explain them to you, but big changes happened that directly affected how people can sue and companies can sue for defamation, meaning, can you put a story out that is against Scientology? What will the legal repercussions be? And the whole conversation started because Alex had a story that was getting through, I forget which newspaper or outlet it was, and they killed it because they were scared of Scientology. And
Right.
Jonathan Code here, Coad, I don't know how to say his name, this fella came on and basically said, "Shame on you," publicly to
Good.
those outlets and said, "You need to man up, and here's the reason why the laws changed." It was fascinating. Thank you, Goldie.
Yeah,
I
thanks,
just went off
Goldie.
about it, but it was really, really good.
Yeah, and we'll have the links to these videos in the description after we're done and we can pull it all together. But thank you so much, Goldie, for popping that in now. Cause yeah, this was a really, really good one.
Mhm.
And then Serge, I wanted to put this one in here because Serge Delmar yesterday posted a video about Laura Prepon and kind of her uh I guess statements or lack of statements around the Danny Masterson stuff. A lot of people have asked a lot of questions,
Mhm.
at least in my content, especially on TikTok, about Laura Prepon and why she didn't write a letter and where she is in all of this. And I thought this video from Serge was really good from his perspective, like why, like what her involvement is. And we, I get a feeling that the ex-Scientology community has some feelings about Laura Prepon, so this is a good explanation of that.
Yeah. What is she doing in this picture? Is that a pepper?
She was,
Like
he did
pumpkin?
this video of her
What are you
making
looking at?
stuffed peppers. So
Peppers,
I think
okay.
he was kind of going through I don't think she said anything, like, very public. I didn't get to watch the whole video. I think she more
Right.
like, this is her first public thing that she did since all the Danny Masterson stuff, and she might have said a couple of, like, coded things, but it
Uh-huh.
wasn't like an outward statement, so Serge was kinda going through and being like, "Listen, let me tell you about
Yeah.
Laura."
Mhm.
Also, I was kinda petty because she looked a little wild. I actually, like, didn't even recognize her in the video at first. I mean, she posted this video, so that's on her. But I was like, "I think I'm being a little petty because I picked a I picked a purposely weird screenshot of her. Sorry, Laura."
It's definitely got, like, apology video vibes about it.
It does. Yeah, I think
It's like, "I'm just
I
a
think
normal
that
person. I cook peppers. I wear a
yeah.
vest."
Yeah, I think she was kind of like she knows that a lot of people are talking about her, and it was
Yeah.
very like, "I'm not part of this" vibes.
Right. I'm just a
Yeah.
normal person. I'll be interested. I can take her or leave her, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think she has a really powerful position she could step into advocating for a huge amount of people, like
Yeah.
LGBTQ community or plus community, as well
Mhm.
as ex-Scientologists, ex-cult members, and then even
Mhm.
celebrities who have benefited from Scientology and like have continued their career getting out or even used their career to get out. But as
Yeah.
long as she stays silent, all of that,
Yeah.
she keeps it to herself.
Yep, which I guess is her choice, right?
I mean, it
That's
is,
her
the choice
opinion.
for us to speak out, the choice for her to keep quiet.
Yeah. Yep. Alright, what's next? Oh, okay, so Ian
Mhm.
posted this on YouTube. He originally posted it as a TikTok, and I watched it all the way through both times because I found it
Mhm.
fascinating. He
Yeah.
has a couple of videos where he talks about Scientology influencers.
Mhm.
This girl, he's kind of exposing them a little bit.
Totally
Um,
exposing them. I think it's
I mean
hilarious.
yes, and it's great. I'm like, I don't know, it's not like a malicious exposing, it's more like these
Mhm.
people are making a lot of money,
Right.
and they are putting on a public face and a public front, and they are giving that money to Scientology, and they are being silent about it. So it's very much an informed consent thing.
That's
Um,
what I liked about it, and I
yeah.
because okay, theoretically, if someone tells you their faith and they stand by their faith, to attack their faith at that point means one thing. Oh, my
Mhm.
dog is trying to open the door. Um, hold on.
You're good. Okay. But yeah, I'm really interested in the intersection between cults and celebrities, but also influencers and like the business coaching space. So I am always here for calling out like influencers for cult like behavior. And being real secretive about your faith is pretty culty, if you ask me.
Yeah, especially when you get in the MLM space, because once you're in some
Hmm.
sort of MLM space and then there's the Scientology aspect, I do think that you risk losing your follower, losing your people.
Yep.
Um, this was hilarious to me because the way that Ian outed, I think it's this girl in particular, is that
Hmm.
he has sneaky hookups to the Facebook groups
Oh
of
yeah.
Scientology. So he's like, "Oh, isn't this your brother? Isn't this you on stage?" And he pulled
Yeah.
up
He was like, this
photographs of
you?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it's a strange thing. You don't have to expose your faith to the world just to be a celebrity. But there's a weird crossover when you start doing health and vitamins because L. Ron Hubbard has a lot of policies and a lot of information that he came up with for vitamins and health, and they're not proven by science. And so where those things intersect, there's a
That's
danger there
interesting.
that's
Yeah.
important to be, I believe, upfront about.
Yeah, and this person says, "Isn't Scientology basically an MLM?" And there are a lot of similarities, a lot.
Yeah. Well, and you can be a field staff member. You can literally make a commission off of,
Right.
like, you can audit people if you get the approval from the church and then like make a business off of it, but you still pay the church to do it.
And also, though, if you get people into Scientology, you make a commission off of their courses too, right?
That's
If you
right.
recruit
Yeah, that's
them.
the FSM. That's the field staff member. That's
Okay.
right. So,
Oh,
And
okay.
if you're in Scientology, you can kinda use it to your advantage, right? So, my mom, who paid for all of my services anyway, was technically my FSM, so she would get
Okay.
a kickback. Like, I forget what the
Oh.
percentage is. So, say they paid $25,000 for my auditing, then, like,
Mhm.
in a month and a half, she would get, like, I forget what it is, 5 or 10% back because she was technically
Okay.
the one who signed me up.
Huh.
Weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone
Anyway.
go watch.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have this video that Liz Ferris and Ono Nora did titled Revenge of the Gay, which
I
I'm
know.
here for.
I know. I
And
love it.
I freaking love them, and I love all of their lives they do together. But they were specifically talking about how the LGBTQ plus community is treated within Scientology and some of the things they experience, and were sharing their personal stories. And
Mhm.
that is very close to my heart because that's a similarity to the cult that I was in, and something that like I definitely feel like I'm, making up for as an ally to that community on the other side. So anybody that's advocating and explaining what happens to the LGBTQ community in these cults, I will watch and promote all day long.
Yeah, that's nice. How many of the birds can you hear in my background, out of curiosity?
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear any, okay. I
Yeah,
swear there is a chorus of birds happening behind me. My rooster's crowing. There's a h it's good. Okay.
that's so funny. You have a good mic.
Okay,
You
good.
have a good mic. It's just picking up your
Anyway,
voice.
on these, 2, I agree. I think they've got the right dose of fun, the right dose, I mean, it really works, and they had some really fun new graphics they were using this week, some,
Mhm.
like, purple hair things, for their thumbnails. It was great.
Yeah, it was cute. I almost put that in, but then I wanted to do a picture of them talking.
Mm. Everyone says they can't
Okay.
hear the birds. That makes me feel so much better because I don't know what's going on, but it's a bird day.
So funny.
Oh, Vanessa's Gray Zone.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Do you wanna talk about this? Did you see her live that she did introducing this?
I did, and I'm a big fan personally of Vanessa
Mhm.
as well, and so, I think that this individual channel for her, it's tricky when you collaborate, especially on something so personal. It's like, it's nice to collab, but then you also need your own space, right? Like,
Mhm.
and just like we got done talking about SPTV, that's kind of part of the joy. Like, you really have your own voice. So,
Right.
her plan is to talk more about sort of the nuances of coercion, cults, healing, which is why it's called the
Mhm.
gray zone, from my understanding. And I'm really excited for that. I'm excited for those conversations because I find myself in the gray zone thinking wise a lot. I can really rationalize and like empathize with a lot of different viewpoints. And so it's very nuanced. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. That's right up my alley too. It's like
Totally.
talking about more of the psychology and stuff. So I'm excited for her and excited to see where she takes this for
For
sure.
sure.
Okay, what was this? Okay, so Jeffrey Augustine with the Scientology Money Project
Oh,
did this video about Grant Cardone suing the Hard Rock Stadium because he wore an expensive watch that was over $750,000 and it got
oh,
stolen. And he was, like, wanting to sue the venue over it, and I didn't get through this whole thing either, but Jeffrey Augustine was freaking hilarious. Like, he was being so funny about it. I was just cracking up for the parts that I did watch, and I am here for the Grant Cardone call outs.
that is so funny. Grant Cardone is probably flailing around like with his lawsuits and his
Yeah,
I mean, I keep hearing rumors he's about to be arrested. I don't know if that's
I hope
true.
so.
I'm pretty sure Jeffrey told me that himself. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this just as like rich people in general? If you wear a $750,000 watch,
I
if you lose
literally
it, shouldn't it be
yeah.
insured?
Yeah, 1, usually it is. 2, that's so ridiculous. 3, I feel like that's a little bit of a scarcity thing on Grant Cardone's part. Like, I wonder if he can't afford to lose a $750,000 watch right now,
Yeah.
or maybe it wasn't his.
Ooh,
What?
there's an idea.
I mean,
Mhm.
a lot of celebrities wear things that are
Of
gifted to
course,
them,
of
but Grant
course.
Cardone is like the grifter of all grifters. So
Right.
people aren't like gifting him things, but he could be renting things,
Yep.
borrowing things. So like that was my
Mhm.
thought. I was like, maybe it's not his watch. Or
That would
maybe
make
he's
sense.
really pressed for cash.
And
Either
I wonder
one.
who that person is that is sitting out there right now with his I wouldn't put it past Grant himself.
I well, another twist. That is also
Exactly.
a possibility.
Exactly. I'll have to go back and watch that 'cause I could listen to someone punking him about his $750,000 watch. Sure, I'm in.
Absolutely. It was good. It was
Yeah.
really funny. Okay, and then this video,
Oh, hey.
Liz,
Hey.
you did with Ron,
I did.
talking about ScientologyParent.com,
Mhm.
more Scientology influencers, right? Tell
Mhm.
us
Yep.
about this.
Well, this website, Scientology Parent, has been around for a long time. Like, we're talking 10-ish years. I went to school with the guy whose head is cut off here. And his
Okay.
whole family was at Scientology boarding school, the Delphian Academy in Sheridan, Oregon, that my brother and I attended. And I was very young when I went there. I was sent there at 8. And his mother, Mary, was so kind to me, actually. She was like the only maternal person, I swear, in
Oh,
that space for me. And I slammed my finger in the door. It's still actually crooked to this day. It was really bad. And she like put
wow.
ice on it and stuff. And I know that sounds like not very much, but when you're an 8-year-old child who has just been, who lives at boarding school, you don't have parents. And so
Yeah.
you have to go to a specific office and like get paperwork and like report things to get ice. So just to be able to go into this woman's small apartment and have her put ice on my hand and tell me it was going to be okay. It was really bad. You could like see not quite the bone, but anyway, long story short, he came from a good set of parents. And so
Yeah.
he now I think he seems to equate that with Scientology. So he's out here on
Yeah.
this platform. Long, long, long story short, it's a bunch of BS. And that's what we were
Mhm.
talking about.
I caught about half of it and it was really good. I was like very interested in all the things that you guys were talking about. So if you guys missed this one, go watch it.
Yeah, watch it on my channel though. Hey, yo, hey, watch it on my
Yeah.
channel. Watch it
Yes.
at
Watch
Liz,
it
Liz,
from
Gale,
Liz.
Gale.
Get Liz those watch
That's
hours.
right.
Okay, what is this? Oh, okay, so the Julian Schwartz of it all happened this week
Ugh.
too. So you might have to help me with this, but from my understanding, Julian Schwartz is the guy behind a lot of the cover-ups of criminals and pedophiles specifically in Scientology. And he had never been like seen. Like his picture wasn't anywhere. And like I mean people had seen him, like they know who he was, but he wasn't out there publicly. He was just this kind of like ghost behind the scenes whose name was on a lot of documentation for things, but his picture wasn't out. So was it Yashar or Leah?
It wa
Somebody was like,
I believe it was Yashar got his
okay.
photograph, I wanna say from his DMV record.
Oh
Because
yes,
because
probably that makes
if you
sense.
yeah, and if you think about somebody who went into the Sea organization early in life, and then, maybe before they became an adult, pre-internet, pre-social media, and then they don't have social media, you're not gonna have a lot of pictures of them. So it was
Right.
literally breaking news late at night. It was like 11 o'clock at night Pacific time or something.
Yep.
That Yashar sent out, boom, we have the picture, and then immediately after that, Leah came out with one, and then immediately after that, Aaron did a video. It was like boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, all for some guy's old DMV picture. That is
Yes.
how that's how far he's tucked away, And yes, to answer your question, he has been named in several, pretty horrific and terrible cover-ups where he was named specifically in orchestrating this is allegedly, I should probably say that. Um Uh-oh, did Cassie Marie disappear? Uh, anyway, it is allegedly at this point, but it's really, really gross. There was a daycare cover up, a daycare scandal. All types of
Yep.
things have come out. Not sure if I'm the glitchy one. I've been the glitchy one before. Let's see. There was some debate if this actually was in this particular picture, though. There was some debate if that is Julian. I know that the DMV photo was confirmed to be him. Let's see. Are you there, Miss Cassie Marie? Okay. Let's see. I'll get her frozen face out, and then when she comes back, we'll pop her back in. This is the part of the news that happens, I guess. I think this happened last week too. Let's see. Oh, I don't want to go on without her just yet. Hold on. Let's do a couple comments. Because a few of you talked about my book, and I might as well use this as my time. Hey, girl, Roar, you got my book? And it is incredible and awesome. Thanks. Oh, there she is. I was just
I
using
think
this.
StreamYard does not like me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because my Wi-Fi is great over here. Like everything else is running fine. And it just
Strange.
kicks me out. So I'm sorry. I think
Don't worry, I was just using it to plug my book. Hey, everybody, buy my book on Amazon. It's called Confessions of an Ex-Scientologist Pothead. I'll put a link in the future.
literally do it. Everyone get it.
Do it.
Plug it whenever you can.
Everyone
I did just want to mention that with this video, that this was on Dazed But Not Confused, Doug's channel.
Oh, yeah.
He's been pumping out a lot of Scientology news content this week too. He had several videos covering some of the like trending topics. So everybody go see Doug's side of things and what he has to say. But you were saying this picture, it was like highly debated whether that was him or not.
I can't remember. I think I heard a rumor of that. But so if you really want to see his face, spot on. There's like a blue picture with blue background because it's a DMV picture. And if you recognize the guy out in the world, give him a big flip off for me and all of SPTV.
For every ex-Scientologist.
Oh boy, if you had to give one, middle finger for every ex-Scientologist, you'd be there for at least an hour. Just like, boom, 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 boom.
Sure. I made that video flipping off flag in the Fort Harrison Hotel.
That's right. You tagged me in it too. I loved it. I like woke up that morning or something because you were 3 hours later, and I said, "Oh, she tagged me in a video," and I look and it's you just like running up to Scientology's building and just like kicking it.
Oh yeah, I kicked it too.
I was like, yes.
So I've got to be on some lists by now for kicking the Fort Harrison Hotel. You would think.
I think
Scientology's never given me any problems.
Well, you have also 80,000 followers. More than that. I want to say it's like 86 by now.
Listen, I'm telling you, Scientology doesn't understand TikTok. Like they don't know how to navigate it. I'm convinced
they just don't know what to do over there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So this video was just Aaron and Serge also did a video on Julian Schwartz. So I wanted to throw that in there as well because they had a long thing that they went through. I think Serge had some unique insight on some things that had to do with Julian that he had.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Serge's job when he was in Scientology would have been to hear those crimes directly from people. And then he would have to liaise with somebody else and would be then told what to do again. And so I would think he worked with Julian Schwartz. I'd be curious to run some of the names in my family by Julian Schwartz. I suspect he's handled a few things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come out at some point. Although
I don't know, he's gonna have to have a proper deal with the FBI and most likely Interpol. Like he's gonna have to have a proper deal. And a lot of people compare Scientology to the mafia. I don't have any real proof or speculation that Scientology would ever try and like take someone out. But if they were gonna try and take someone out, it'd be like Julian Schwartz. He's that much of a risk.
I was gonna say, don't they usually disappear people that know that much? Like those people don't get out. That's like the whole thing.
Yeah, which is why I think Interpol would have to kind of come into play as well, because there are a lot of shuffling. It's an international organization. So, yeah. Oh, Miss Cassie Marie. All right, well, we'll see when she comes back here. I don't want to go on without her. Oh, this one did me in. Let's do a couple comments before we talk about this bad boy. We'll get Cassie back in here. Should we talk about how amazing my book is again? What? All right, let's go back in time for a minute. Hey, Alex, if I were Ashton, I'd be pissed off at Danny, not the victims. Yes, and you would know this of all people, Alex, that in Scientology there's something called the wrong target. And it's like when I forget the example, something like, oh, a horse comes by and steps on your foot and you blame the guy across the street, wrong target. And they'll use it to kind of tell you you're wrong sometimes, because if the target happens to be Scientology, then it's a wrong target by nature. So, yes, Ashton has a horrible case of the wrong target. He should absolutely be pissed off at Danny and not the victims. I completely agree. Okay, you got it up? Okay, cool.
I think so. I think this is the right one. Yeah.
How
I'm
about my wind
telling you.
chime? Can you hear my wind chime?
No.
Wow.
You got a good mic.
This is my 17-year-old son's mic. All the microphones are my 17-year-old son's microphone.
That's
so.
amazing. I love that. Okay, so this is like we're getting like this is the last slide of this before our main story. But
Right.
David Miscavige's camerawoman,
Oh,
Rachel, left Scientology, I guess back in 2020, and is speaking out for the first time. And that's what this video was about.
I'm
They
shaking my
just
head
posted
because
this.
yeah, I'm shaking my head because it's rough. Did you watch it?
I watched the first 25, 30 minutes of it, 15 minutes of it. I'm not
Yeah, I
sure.
feel like I watched the middle. Um, it was rough. Everybody should just go watch it. I'll be curious what everybody thinks about it. But she really witnessed a lot of really bad stuff. Essay and not witnessed it, but knew about it. And
Wow.
they even had to like black it out. They didn't even say everything that she had seen. And
Wow.
it's another example of Scientology covering up crimes. And it's kind of like, oh, fun and exciting. Not fun. I don't want to say fun, but like exciting to like have
Mhm.
scandalous news. But then it gets really old because
Yeah.
it's the same news. Like, how many times
It's
are we going to
sad.
have to
Yeah.
hear that these children are being abused and that someone's trying to do something and it doesn't work, and then they leave Scientology and the kid is just left behind with that family, with that predator?
Yeah.
I've seen it with my own eyes, guys. It's
Yeah.
really disappointing that she just came out in 2020 and it's the same crap happening.
And they were like, she's gone to law enforcement. Cause that's what like law
Yep.
enforcement's kind of argument is like, it's all past the statute of limitations. There's nothing we can do, blah, blah, blah. And they were like,
Mhm.
she's told everything to law enforcement and this is her
Mhm.
story. So like it's frustrating. It's like how many? How many times? How many people speaking out? Like what is it actually going to take? And
I
you
know.
don't
Well,
want to
and
lose kids, right?
why in the freaking why are clergy people not mandatory reporters of abuse?
It's
I
insane.
have a preschool teaching like gig thing,
Yeah.
and I'm a mandatory reporter. That means that if I am off the clock and walking through the zoo and see abuse as defined by Oregon state or federal state of child abuse, I have to, not like I wouldn't report it anyway,
Right.
but I have to. Why don't clergy folks have to?
Yeah. That it's insane. It's absolute insanity.
If
I mean,
you're yes,
everyone should be a mandated reporter. Like
well,
everyone should be,
yeah.
but especially clergy.
Yes, if your relationship with your God or your higher power includes you being able to do crimes and have them be covered up on your behalf, that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
What do I know? But hey,
Yeah.
okay.
This
Thanks.
comment, Jeff says that in some
That's right.
states, clergy are mandatory reporters, but
Washington State, I believe.
yeah, but not, well, I'm pretty sure not most. Like, I
And
think it's more
Florida,
like a few.
that's the thing, Scientology will
Yeah.
put their $1,000 an hour lawyers on this and be like, "Find us a place. Find us where
Right.
we can go."
Yep.
And they will.
It's
So, yeah.
despicable, disgusting, but big news, big
Yeah,
news.
it's upsetting. When you go to watch that one, just calm yourself.
Yes. Take care in watching. Use your
Yes.
tools if you have
Use your
tools
tools, your mental
to
health tools,
regulate.
use them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Big story this week.
Big one photo, big story.
Big
Bijou! Ow!
The wives of these men, Liz. I've been waiting to talk to you about this ever
You know,
since
I'm
it dropped.
obsessed with the wives. I don't freaking care about these dumb cult leaders and these dumb essayers. I understand how their puny little man brains work. And this is not a
Yep.
dig on all men, just the Danny Mastersons of the
Predators.
world.
Yeah.
Just those folks. Um, but yeah, dude, here's the thing. I posted about this on TikTok and I've gotten a lot of, and actually on YouTube, I got a lot of feedback. There are two schools of thought, in my opinion. First school of thought is that, well, there's three. First school of thought is that she's simply protecting her assets. She knows
Yeah.
that a civil trial's coming down the line. There might be more victims. There's going to be a payout. And she wants to protect, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt here. She wants to
Mhm.
protect her own future life and the financial life of her child. So she's going to separate assets so that they can come after Danny for his stuff and not hers, right?
Right.
Second train of thought. He's about to be declared a suppressive person and she's got to
That
cut
would be
ties
interesting. Yeah.
and she's got to stay. She's going to stay in the church. Third school of thought. So Pollyanna, I will die on this hill. You will find me reviving Bijou with a freaking smelling salt. Like, get up, girl. We gotta go.
You're
But
like, "Bijou, we're getting you
I,
out."
I will carry her over my freaking shoulder off the
Yeah.
battlefield. And I know it sounds so dramatic and insane, but I recognize in Bijou things I've seen in myself, right? Like
Yeah.
I haven't done a lot of the things that she's done, and I don't have some of the same issues she has, but I get being angry. I
Mhm.
get acting out when you're being abused. And so I give
Yeah.
her the benefit of the doubt. So, and this also to say is not in any way to lessen anything she has done poorly or badly, particularly in regards to the victim. I think when I talk about redemption from somebody, you have to make up the damage that you've done bad in
Yeah.
order to
You have to
redeem.
own it. Yep,
Not trying to give
and
anybody a free
suffer the
ride,
consequences. Yep.
not trying to I'm not trying to excuse anybody's behavior, but I see some hope for her, and I'm praying, 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 praying this is her first step and she's gonna get out of Scientology.
Yeah.
However, if you go to the next slide, there is
Okay.
one more, I forgot.
Let's go.
It Yeah, uh-huh. She was recently seen I don't have it here. I didn't put it up here. Long story short, she seems to be leaning on her husband, soon to be ex-husband's family for support, and as long as she's
Mhm.
continuing to do that, I think she'll stay in Scientology.
I think so too.
What do
I
you think?
do.
What do you think do you think it's about the money? You think it's about the declare? Or you think she's busting loose?
I don't know. I don't think she's busting loose. I think it just is interesting timing, like, very interesting timing.
Mm.
I'm almost of the mind that Danny might be declared to help with the civil suit or something, or maybe this was just too big
Oh.
of news for Scientology that, like, for once, Scientology PR is, like, making a decision, and they're like, "Maybe this would be a good idea to, like, distance ourselves from him a little bit now that he's been convicted." Because before he was found guilty and sentenced, Scientology had to toe the "he's completely innocent, we didn't do anything to cover it up." Now that he's been found guilty, I think that changes things for Scientology. But my other thing is Scientology hasn't always made, like, smart decisions about stuff like that in the
You
past.
don't say.
Like, they're really dumb when it
They're
comes to,
so
like,
dumb.
PR and, like,
Yeah,
saving their own asses. Like, I guess it's because of, like, L. Ron Hubbard writings and they have to follow it so closely,
yeah,
but they just do the dumbest shit. So I'm like,
yeah.
maybe someone had some forethought to, like, strategize here and declare him because she's been seen with his family, like,
Right.
maybe um, other than that, I would assume it's asset protection. I think I love your optimism. I love your hope. I also hope that Bijou will see the light, but I feel like she's been in too deep for too long. And the
Mhm.
fact that she sat through the trials and, like, listened to everything, like, to me, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if she's getting out. Although some people said that she likely was harmed by Danny as well for a number of years, so maybe
I
was
said
that
that.
you? Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe she's, like, okay, that's it. This is my one chance. And she's
Yeah,
getting out.
Bijou, if you're watching, in fact, I'm gonna do a TikTok just for you, Bijou.
Do
I
it.
don't have his number, but who you need is Katie Holmes' dad.
Yes.
Bijou, find Katie Holmes' daddy. You need the man.
FYI, bijou.
Yeah, you need him. You need him. Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I can understand everybody's thoughts about it being about money and assets. That,
Mhm.
certainly makes sense. But it is bizarre that she would have, yeah, sat through 2 trials. She said she loved him. She cried when he got sent off. Um, Maybe this is just one of those things you gotta do. You gotta separate
Yeah.
yourself from that, he's gonna be in prison. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see.
We shall see. Okay.
She
Do
should
you want to
do
do
something
oh,
nice.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
She
No, you
could
could do your
what?
surprise story. Okay,
Okay.
everybody, just in case you're new here, Cassie Marie and I, we do our SPTV Roundup, and then we each present each other with a surprise cult or Scientology news story, and then we wrap up with a good news story. So I'm
Yes.
excited.
Okay. So here is my story. This is
Okay.
a culty news story, but it
Yes.
is Scientology adjacent.
Okay.
And it's kind of me digging into something. No one's really, I didn't find any specific news about this. But the news story is that Tim Ballard, who is the founder of Operation Underground Railroad, and he was the subject of the Sound of Freedom movie, was denounced by the Mormon Church this past weekend, seemingly out of nowhere and not through like normal church channels. And people were wondering why, because he is a member of the Mormon Church and he's referenced them a lot and said he was friends with an elder in the church for a long time. So people were really confused and there were a bunch of conspiracy theories going around. And then it came out that due to an internal investigation in Operation Underground Railroad, which Tim left right before the Sound of Freedom movie came out. So, like, he's founded this organization. He's the subject of the movie that's about him in this organization, and he leaves the organization right when the movie comes out. So, it turns out that he was under internal investigation for sexual misconduct involving at least 7 women. And that only includes the women that are in the organization. That doesn't include volunteers or people that they came in contact with during some of their missions. So then it turns out that the reason the Mormon Church denounced him, though, was that Vice News has been reporting on Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad and some of the issues and criticisms of the organization since 2020. They had done a story about Tim Ballard and his relationship to an elder in the church, and they asked the church for a statement. But a long time ago, like months ago, they asked them for a statement. And then the church decided to give them the statement. And so they ran the story and the church made the statement and they said, "We don't think Tim Ballard's a good guy and he has no association with the church." So it's this whole thing. There's a lot of speculation both ways. But he responded, oh, I just put this picture in because I thought it was weird. um,
I was like,
he
"Whoa, that's an intense
responded,
response."
yes, with a statement like 2
Okay.
days after, from his new nonprofit that he started that's supposed to do the same thing. But since he's not part of Operation Underground Railroad, he's not doing that anymore, started a new one. So he said, "As with all of the assaults on my character and integrity over many years, the latest tabloid driven sexual allegations are false. They are baseless inventions designed to destroy me and the movement we have built to end the trafficking and exploitation of vulnerable children. During my time at OUR, I designed strict guidelines for myself and our operators in the field. Sexual contact was prohibited, and I led by example. Given our meticulous attention to this issue, any suggestion of inappropriate sexual contact is categorically false. The Spear Fund, which is his new organization, strongly encourages journalists to watch this recent episode of the highly respected Marisol Nichols podcast, which offers specific context around the child
Oh.
rescue operations process." Anyone know why this is significant? Who's
Yes,
Marisol Nichols?
indeed.
Who is she, Liz?
Oh, well, Marisol Nichols is a prominent Scientologist, active Scientologist actress who has started a whole foundation for human trafficking, saving children. I forget what it's called. Do you know what her organization's called?
It is called Slavery-Free World.
There you go. There you have it. And
Yes.
it's very ironic. A lot of people scream to the rooftops, me included, like, hey, Marisol, you need to look in your own backyard, because while you are
Mhm.
representing the Church of Scientology or the cult of Scientology, depending on how you look at it, um, they are known, not only known like in culturally for human trafficking, they have an active human trafficking lawsuit against them.
Yes!
So,
And, like, child trafficking lawsuit. Like, they were
yeah,
minors. The
yeah.
Valeska Paris one, right? They were
They
minors
were
when they
they were
were.
minors, absolutely, so it's like forced labor, child labor, and human trafficking,
Yeah.
which is also really interesting because the Mormons, like, why do this right now? They are okay, I'm gonna back up. With the whole Ruby Frankie and 8
Mhm.
passengers, I'm sure most people know about that, we're not gonna get into it too big right now, but there are Mormon ties, and there are
Yep,
Mormon mental health practitioner ties, like, they're
yep.
all together, like, you know, um and so why bother doing this with Tim Ballard? Like, they're not even in a position to be a champion for children, the Mormon Church in the PR right now.
They're not, and the Mormon Church is covering up some of their own, predators the same way that Scientology is. So, just
Right,
like Julian Schwartz covers things up and fixes things for
right,
various types of predators, including those against children, the Mormon
right.
Church does the same.
So
So, yes,
question for you. Was the organization that he started, not our, but the past organization, the first one before he went off to do the movie, was it affiliated with the Mormon Church?
that was OUR. That was our
Oh, okay,
Operation
okay.
Underground Railroad. Yeah,
That was
and
affiliated
it
because
was not affiliated with the
was
church.
not affiliated. And then the victims, the 7 victims who have come forward, do they have affiliation with the church necessarily?
No, not that
Okay,
we know of. So the
okay,
reason the church responded because Vice News wrote an article about Tim Ballard's affiliation with the church.
got it.
I did a whole video on this, so if you guys are interested and wanna check that out on my
Yeah,
channel, please do.
let's do
But
that.
Tim Ballard thinks or wants to be the celebrity for the Mormon Church, like there are Scientology celebrities. So
Oh,
he has been like exposed as making Operation Underground Railroad and several other nonprofits as a way to funnel into his personal brand to make him a lot of money and gain him a lot of notoriety so he can make these movies, be a celebrity with the ultimate goal of bringing people back to the Mormon Church. So he sees
got it,
himself kind of as like a Mormon messiah of sorts, and
got
that's what he
it.
wants to do. So that's why the Mormon Church was like, listen,
Yeah,
we don't care what he says. Like,
gotta
he's
check it.
not our
Yeah,
celebrity. Like,
that's
so that
not
was
our
their.
dude.
Yes, but a lot of Mormons, like practicing Mormons, like really like Tim Ballard and
Huh,
are really like for Operation Underground Railroad because they
right.
have it's been speculated whether like how much help they have been, but I can
Hmm,
completely understand. We all want to save the children, right?
yeah,
Like you and I are doing the same thing. We want to save the children
absolutely.
from trafficking, from all this stuff. So like I get it. So people are just kind of like, why would the Mormon, like, why would our church denounce this? That's crazy. But people are refusing to look at the problems and the allegations. He
Hmm,
also used a psychic in their missions and their operations. Like instead of gathering intelligence and like doing something real, they consulted a psychic who was allegedly channeling a Mormon prophet, a dead Mormon prophet, to find the children. And they would go on these very expensive missions to find the
whoa,
children led by a psychic. And the children wouldn't be there because that's not how that works. So that's another accusation, another thing coming out. Trevin on here says Mormon Stories podcast has pointed that out many times. Mormon Stories podcast has a ton of content on this. They do really great work, and
they do the best
they've
work.
interviewed the journalists from Vice News that have also been covering this story for a long
Oh,
time, and
okay.
they provide like a lot of clarity on this stuff. It's very fascinating. I'm
Wow.
deep in this story, and then the Marisol Nichols connection is wild. But then, so Tim Ballard used to be on the board of Slavery Free World, of Marisol Nichols' child trafficking organization. Tim Ballard was like the #1 board member. You go to the website, you would scroll down, and he was the first one that came up. So that's why he was like, oh, go listen to Marisol Nichols, like acclaimed podcast to listen to our stuff. Well, if you go to Slavery Free World now and you scroll down to Board of Advisors, guess who's not there?
Ooh, burn.
She took him off of the board, or at least publicly. She took any mention of him off of the board. So he's going around claiming that these are like, this is all fake news, these are all false allegations, but everyone he's connected to that he's been like propping up and advocating for, they're all removing him from their lives and from like anything that they have anything to do with. So I still think
Canceled.
more stuff is going to come out. I know that seems crazy, but I'm like, there's got to be a reason his own people are taking him out of all of this stuff. Like there has to be something else.
Huh. It's interesting because, I mean, Scientology works really hard to safe point with other ecclesiastical groups, like other religious and spiritual groups. And like, they definitely seem to play off of Mormon churches like PR, and like they kind of, I think, use them as an example sometimes. So it doesn't surprise me too much that they like came together. But she's probably scared because if he's getting called out by his church and their public is reacting away, like she's next. She might sort of think that way.
I wish more people would talk about her and her connections to Scientology, given the lawsuit. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot.
Oh my gosh, I just thought of a TikTok. Her dressed up in Dorothy clicking her red heels together, and she's like, it was all here in my backyard all along. She's like looking for human trafficking. She's like, it was right here in my backyard in Scientology.
Literally. Oh my gosh. So yeah, between this and Thorne, like Ashton Kutcher leaving Thorne and Marisol Nichols having this, like they're all supposed to be helping combat child sex trafficking, but like, where are the children that are being saved? Like, what's going on? And why are none of you looking at your friends and your churches for this?
Right.
Like, not a one.
Ugh,
so
disappointing. Wow. Fascinating story. Wow.
Thanks.
Bonkers.
It is. All right. What you got this week?
Okay. You want to hear my story here?
I do.
It's going to be silly. I think you're going to think it's silly.
Okay.
Okay. Here's my story. My story is when I was looking for Scientology news, a good news story of Scientology came up in the Walla Walla Union Bulletin. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to give this a second. It's got this picture here. We were just talking about like ecclesiastical, overlap and grouping. So the story is like, oh, the volunteer ministers Canadian Continental Cavalcade. That's a mouthful. And the Church of Scientology of Cambridge, Ontario hosted an interfaith forum with members of the, I may pronounce this wrong, I'm so sorry, Ahmadiyya Muslim community. Those attended were introduced to the volunteer ministers program and the 19 Scientology tools for life. This was literally this morning. Okay. Like, oh, okay. Well, what's this? What's this? Well, the Walla Walla Union Bulletin is a Seattle Times affiliate paper. It's a daily newspaper and website servicing the Walla Walla Valley. They say that their core values are accuracy, compassion, diversity, and the truth. I thought, okay, that's interesting. Then, lo and behold, when you search them, by the way, if you search Scientology, lots and lots of positive news for Scientology comes up. How Scientology helps people of Kenya, thanking volunteer ministers for their unconditional help. Goes on and on here. There were like 23 different like news articles. Then what's this? I see the exact same article in the news item. Same picture, same everything. Faith leaders learn to help others with Scientology tools for life. Isn't that interesting? Oh, hey, look, the exact same articles. Oh, hey, look at that. And of course, lots of Scientology links. And at the bottom, disclaimer, this press release content was not created or issued by the Associated Press. Content below is unrelated to the news story. Boom, it's a paid story.
Yes.
So I thought that's funny, but look, it's also in the Star Beacon.
Another one. Oh my God.
And I just thought it was like amusing to see how This is and it's twice, by the way. It's twice in the Beacon. I thought that was pretty funny, just for good measure. And I would
Yes.
assume it's in many other. So what we have here, and it's just sort of one of those things. I'm going to go back a little bit. Here we go. I guess for all of us cult watchers, people interested in the psychology of cults and how cults work, this is just such a great little thing to remember. Not all news stories are news. There are
Yes.
purchased news stories, PR news stories. And so obviously when you see the same thing posted several times, you think, well, it's obviously a paid promotion. But I think
Right.
it just goes to show how Scientology really works. My question is always, where are the organic good news stories? Because even the
What?
Scientology parent one, it's all just copied and pasted,
Yeah.
right? Like, where
It
is the where are the people who are like, "This is my faith, I'm so happy." I don't know, I don't see them, and when I do, they have a glazed look in their eye, and it seems to turn people off. Anyway, there's my story.
yeah.
Thoughts?
Well, what were we saying earlier about Scientology being dumb when it comes to PR? Like, they've
We did say
never
that.
once, done something that actually was smart. Like, if you're gonna be tricky and, covert and manipulative, at least get good at it. And I just
I
feel
know.
like maybe more people are just, wising up to this stuff, but I genuinely feel like in the age of the internet, Scientology does not understand and cannot cope.
Yeah.
Maybe they were really great at this before the interwebs, but since
Mhm.
the invention of the internet, Scientology is horrible at this. Cause you're right.
Yeah.
Where are just the genuine regular Scientologists sharing their good stories? Why is it all paid? Why is it all shady AF?
Yeah.
What?
And when you see them, they're
What?
copy and pasted. They look
Yeah.
very I mean, I don't know. I have some discernment, but, when you see somebody show up in a way that's very formulaic, it's hard to believe. It feels like it's a PR move.
Yeah.
I know, though, that one thing that this does offer Scientology are, like, clickbacks, like, for
Yeah.
search engine optimization, because at the bottom of every one of these articles, I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but it's
Right.
just Scientology link, Scientology link, Scientology link.
Yeah.
And so it does provide some sort of, like, internet value.
Traffic. Yeah.
Um, but I think we all, as a collective, like, internet and marketing, have all started to really realize in the past 5-10 years that organic, storytelling, like, um, faces of real people, not having to
Mhm.
be so cut and paste like Instagram
Right.
is more effective for marketing. So, yeah, they're just being stupid. But anyway,
They are.
that was my story. I
They're
thought,
behind the times.
yeah,
I love it. I do think it's hilarious. I think that's really funny.
so funny.
Oh,
Um, okay, well, we've got our last one, our good news story, and I'm actually
yep.
really excited about it. Cassie
Okay.
Marie and I have actually struggled. We've communicated in the past about struggling to find worthy good news stories. Um,
Yes.
but I got one today. Let me tell you
Hey.
what. Okay, today's good news story is about India Oxenberg's healing after Nexium, an entire
Yay.
People magazine story. It has all the things I love.
Oh my gosh, yes!
Yes.
You knew
Okay,
I
so
would love this,
I
didn't you?
know. Um, So starting off, this is the picture of her in there. She looks amazing. She looks so good. India
Yeah.
Oxenberg opens up about her healing journey 5 years after leaving the Nexium cult. 5 years, which I think is I was surprised to hear time had gone by that fast. So for anybody
Yeah.
who doesn't really know who we're talking about, this was an article heading all the way back from 2020. Yeah, so about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Catherine Oxenberg is her mother. She is a rich, fancy lady who has a lot of resources, and her daughter, India, the younger one, they both look so young, um, got into Nexium, like deep into Nexium.
Yeah.
And so here's a little bit of that story. It was like her first, she did 1 year of college. Then her family actually introduced her to the Nexium crew, but then her mom left and she stayed in. And India was directly mentored by, Sarah, Mark, some of the higher up people, and
Yeah.
Allison Mack, and she was approached to join the ultra secretive part of NXIVM, DOS. And that was the place where the women were physically branded, which is just awful. And they had to
Mhm.
give collateral, right? This reminds me of Scientology quite a bit. In the collateral to be in DOS, you would have to write horrible letters saying you had done things that you didn't even do and say horrible things. Think about the worst thing that you would ever want to, like, ever. And that's what you write down. And then they say, if you ever leave, we're going to give this to everybody. Like, we're going to
Mhm.
ruin your life. So it's been a long ride for her. Her mom was instrumental in getting her out. Like I said, her mom was a fancy rich lady with a lot of resources,
Yeah.
and she did not stop. She reminds
She
me of Leah
did what
Remini.
we would what we wish every mom would do, like every Scientology mom, every mom ever. Like, just picture what you wish a mom would do in this situation, and she did all the things.
All the things, and she never gave up. I have goosebumps, you guys. I have hella
Yeah.
mom issues, but for real, it's so
Yeah.
amazing. And so now this is a clip from this one, right? The only screenshot I took from the old article we already looked at. So this is now going forward with the one that just came out. And
Yeah.
they're working together. She says, "My mom could see I had a future when I couldn't see it."
It
I
literally
mean,
makes me wanna cry.
woo, I know, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then she went on to say, like, these really empowering things, with the help of her mom, she got out of there. For the past 5 years, Oxenberg has been doing the difficult work of healing from her trauma and has rebuilt life on her own terms. Quote, "I've taken my life back and I'm learning who I want to be." There
Oh.
is so much power in that to me for so many reasons. One, fancy rich people with a lot of resources are admitting that they got into cults and that it
Yep.
takes time, work, trauma, and help to get over that.
Yep.
That's huge. That
That
right there
is.
is a powerful ass message as far as I'm concerned. I'm like, okay, cool. And I love
Yeah.
that she says that she's learning who she wants to be, because
Mhm.
that is, I don't know, that's just such indicative to me, having grown up in Scientology and then leaving Scientology. Um, I don't know, there's a grace with yourself when you say you're allowing yourself to still keep growing. It's just such a beautiful, I just thought it was really beautiful.
There
Um,
is. I think that's a sign of healing, a lot of healing, from cult terms, when you can, like, realize that you don't have to be fixed. Like, you don't have to
right,
be perfect, and you don't have to be fixed, and you don't have to know who you are, and who you are can change. So I think
right.
saying, like, "I'm still, like, in process," is huge.
Huge. And I think it's
Mhm.
also really empowering for other people as a
Mhm.
message to hear, because, like, when I look at somebody who says, "I got out of a cult and I'm perfect and my life is perfect and everything's perfect," I don't even identify with that. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Not me. I've been out of a cult for, 5 years, and, like, I still freak out sometimes. I still wouldn't say that my life is perfect, that I'm
Right.
perfect." So, being vulnerable is just so helpful, I guess.
Right. It
Um,
is.
and then I thought you'd really appreciate this little quote, because Cassie Marie and I
Yes.
talk a lot about art in healing, about how, crafting art, like, it doesn't even have to be like a big thing. Sometimes it's just as simple as doing things with your hands. Other times they're big conceptual projects that help you work through trauma. Um,
Mhm.
India, and this picture is actually from an old picture when she was first talking about Nexium. She's been writing poetry and music and I
I
love this,
love
building
it.
up the courage to take to the stage to sing. You go,
Oh,
girl. You go, India.
yes!
You do it. Putting
We will
myself out.
we
This
will
is her
support
quote.
you, India. We
I
will
know,
listen to
right?
all your music.
I'll buy your album, girl. Putting
Yes.
myself out there in that way is really vulnerable for me. And that is
Mhm.
another thing, like, when you've been vulnerable in a cult, you've let a belief into your heart, into your life, into your system, and then you've gotten it out again. It's so hard to open up to new things again,
Yeah.
right? Like, in my experience. And so I'm just super duper duper proud of her.
Yeah.
So,
I
um
love it. I love it.
Then it gets better. This story gets better for me. She now is using all kinds of psychedelic and ketamine type healing processes. And she has started I believe it's a nonprofit, but something, with her mom called Helix. And they
Oh,
do mind body healing. They are having a freaking women's ketamine therapy retreat.
That's amazing. Okay, so listen, I have an interview coming out with someone
Oh,
from YWAM, which is oh, what is it? Do we need to pause? Can you hear
no.
me? Oh, okay.
Say it. Say it.
Okay, so YWAM is part of the cult that I was a part of. It's along the same tradition. But I interviewed her about her YWAM experience. She's now a therapist.
Okay.
And so it's a very like therapy talk heavy interview, which I
Yep.
loved because it was very like looking back from that perspective. And she talks about her psychedelic experience and her ketamine treatment very briefly, but she did the same thing, healing from a
Yeah.
cult, like from like
Yeah.
supervised by a therapist, the whole thing, like you and I had talked about on like one of the first ones of this that we
Yep.
did. And she also talked about art. And as a therapist, she works with people from spiritual trauma and healing from spiritual trauma. And she recommends a
Mhm.
lot of art therapy. So like
Yeah.
she was such an interesting connection for me to make. And I can't wait to like publish her interview because it was like all the stuff that we've been talking about. And now it's so cool to have this like very public story of India like moving forward in the same way. It's almost as if
I know.
like
I
this
know.
summer works.
And it is a beautiful thing, I think. So I live in Oregon, and so our relationship with psychedelics and I don't know about ketamine, but like excuse me, psychedelics in the therapy, I feel like has been going on for a
Mhm.
little while. Maybe under the radar, I'm not really sure. But it's picking up and it's really, really interesting to hear not just cult recovery, but like end of life, hospice type situations.
Mhm.
I'm just so fascinated. I want to go to this Helix immersion program. I am telling you what, it's like 9 days or something where you
Mhm.
go and it's all women. Oh my God.
That sounds amazing.
I know.
And
I'm
now
gonna
I want to
apply.
go too.
I probably can't afford it, but I'm gonna apply. So anyway,
I
that was
love
my
it.
good news story for the day or the week.
Obsessed. What
Mhm.
great news too. I can't
Yeah,
wait to go back and read all of that. Do we have
exactly.
time? Do we want to try to go through some of the starred comments?
I think we have time for just a few, but I definitely
Okay.
wanna put this one up first. Gary Mackey,
Yay!
thank you. Liz Glitchy, say it isn't so, and I loved your book. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and not to sound like a broken record, but if you have time to put an honest review on Amazon, apparently
Yep.
it'll help me, little fairies will appear, and it will do something magical. So
Yes.
thank you. Did
Yep.
you wanna pull up any
Yeah, there
specifics?
was one recently. Where'd it go? Okay. Um, because we were
Yep.
talking about India, they said Sarah, Edmondson, and Nippy are sponsored by Better Health, and they have gotten a lot of negative controversy. What are your thoughts on this? I have not heard about the Better Health controversy. So that is something that I will have to look into and like see what that's about. And I'm sure that, Sarah and Nippy, they've been doing a lot of work and they know a lot about this stuff. So I'm sure that the more it's pointed out, if there's something that we should be aware of, looking into that. I have kind of heard that they're just it might not be best practice to use some of those companies that have like the online therapists and do it kind of at a discounted rate, that can be difficult for therapists, and it can be I have heard like very small, like little criticisms of it, but I don't know what the controversy is to be able to speak on it or form an opinion yet. But I will definitely do my best to educate myself on it and see what's going on with that for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I've definitely seen people doing, like, TikTok sponsorship ads for Better Health before,
Mhm,
um, but I've never looked into it too much. I will say that anybody who has gone through an extremely specific and basically psychologically bizarre situation, such
mhm,
as, um, these folks from Nexium,
mhm,
they have a unique perspective that I think could benefit platforms at large. Like, as a third generation ex-Scientologist, I have a hard time just walking into, like, a therapy place and finding an appropriate counselor. There's a lot of
yeah,
back
it's
information
a
that needs
lot.
yeah, to be known. And I have my little tips and tricks. Like, in Oregon, we have a lot of Jehovah's Witness, so I tend to
Oh,
say, "Are you familiar with them?" Because they have some excommunication, some different things that are like Scientology. But,
mhm,
so I am all for any platform collaborating to offer a better experience for their user, but I don't know
mhm.
if that is the end result that they're gonna
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. Better help. not Better Health. I said,
Oh, I thought it was Better Health.
but
Okay.
yeah, I thought it was Better Health too. Totally fine. I will look into it. We'll check it out
We'll check
if
it
we
out.
can. Was there
Awesome.
anything else that you wanted to address or talk about? Oh,
There
there's
were
this one. Do you
yeah, there
wanna
were just a couple here. You know I love talking about the bijou.
Yeah.
I will say from my personal experience, when my child got to be the age that Scientology was supposed to be started practicing on him, my youngest or my oldest, when he turned 8, a mama bear thing kicked in me that I had not known existed. In
Mhm.
Scientology, like many other religions, there's a time that they say to start your kids in it, and it's 8 years old. And I believe their child is getting up to be that age. That's around about the age when Katie Holmes got Surrey out, you know?
Yeah.
So I will continuously hope, pray, manifest, put into the universe
Whatever. Yeah.
that yes, her daughter is a top priority, and
Yeah.
understanding that her daughter is already even further behind than she is in some ways. Like,
Mhm.
at least Bijou's dad was the only one. This
Right.
little girl's dad and her grandpa
Yeah.
on both sides of her family.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I hope that answers your
Yeah.
question.
Okay. There's another one here about allegations against Bijou. And I just wanted to say really quick that I'm not ignoring that. I don't know enough about that either to have an opinion or make a content or make like commentary on it. So I will look into that as well.
I'll
I've
tell you to go to
heard,
my TikTok because she was in an
yeah.
interview with Howard Stern where he straight up asked her, "Did you do this to this girl?" And she was like, "Yeah,"
Oh, really?
with, like, a specific toy. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. I know. I know. I'm not saying she's a good person.
Yeah.
I'm
I know. I know. I get your
It's like, we
perspective.
know
Yeah.
what happens a lot of times with men, like, we can see, say, for Danny Masterson, like, he did not have a role like, consent was not something that his church enforced
Right.
or taught him, and so I kinda think she's in a similar boat, like, there's some consent education that really needs to happen, and how messed up would it be that your consent education is from sitting in court of your husband?
Right.
Like, did she know that you couldn't be SA'd by your I mean, that you can be okay, how do I say this? A husband has no right to his wife's
Right.
physical self. So that is an assault if that
Yep.
is pushed on her, and, like, did she even know that? Maybe she learned
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could
Yeah,
go on
it's a
and on about
very
Bijou, but I'm not going
no,
to.
it is very complicated and very nuanced, and
Yeah,
like Liz said earlier, absolutely consequences for actions.
totally,
Absolutely, like,
totally,
face consequences, you have to own up to things in order
totally.
to have redemption or have forgiveness, you've got to, like, own up, face the consequences, everything. And Danny included, Bijou, Danny, they were raised in coercive environments, like you said, where
Mhm,
consent likely wasn't taught. Danny was in a system that
mhm,
propped him up to think that
mhm,
he could not be touched.
mhm.
And that system doesn't always create like, I'm not saying that he became that way because of Scientology, but certainly he would have never learned any different,
Right,
right? And, like, who knows? Like, we don't know nature
and he
versus
was
nurture or
protected.
whatever.
He was
Yeah.
protected so that he
Yeah.
could continue to do those same things over and over.
And like, to not think that it was wrong. Like, I don't think
Right,
Danny Masterson thinks that what he did is
mm,
wrong. Like, I
right.
genuinely don't think he thinks that.
Yeah, no, I agree, which is gonna be interesting if he is declared because there's an interesting power there that Danny could use to maybe lessen his sentence. I don't know if there's like a grand jury investigation into Scientology, he could flip. He really could flip on
Mhm.
Scientology, and if they cut him
Yeah.
off from his family, his child, his wife, if he's really getting declared, what else does he have?
Right. That would
So,
be interesting.
anyway,
Mhm.
thank you so much for spending this time with me, Cassie
Yeah, thank
Marie,
you. I
and
love
I'm
our
so
Thursdays at 2-ish.
me too, and I'm so grateful for you because I literally cannot catch all the SPTV stuff in the week. I do
I
my
mean,
best, but
yeah.
yeah, it's a
I
lot. So what I
usually
don't
try to
catch,
watch.
you
I
catch.
usually try to watch at least, like, half of, like, what the things that, like, stand out that I see everyone talking about, like, that's kind of how I try to round it up. But, yeah, none of us can watch all of this stuff every week,
Yeah,
so,
But we'll
Yeah,
put the links to
cool.
everything. It'll take me a few minutes.
Yeah.
But we'll get the links to everything into both of our channels. And if you have not followed Cassie Marie, she's here at No Culty. Is it No Culty Vibes?
Yep. No
Yep.
Culty vibes.
On TikTok. Nope, that's not it. Blech.
Nope.
Start over.
On YouTube.
On YouTube. And
Yep.
the Cassie Marie on the TikTok. And
Yep.
I'm Liz Gale _ You can just search for Liz Gale Scientology. I will show up. And follow me too, please.
Yes, please follow Liz.
And we'll see you
Follow
next
us both.
week.
Buy Liz's book. Plug your
Oh
book
yeah,
in.
duh. I wrote a book.
Right behind
Hey.
ya.
Buy my book, Confessions of an Ex-Scientologist Pothead, on the Amazon.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get
we'll
out of
see you
here.
next Thursday at 2-ish.
2-ish. That's right. Get them stats up.
Yeah.
Bye.